Everything in this universe is made up of tiny particles known as atoms. For example, if you take this pillow is made up of atoms. If you take a car, it is also made up of atoms. So everything in this world is made up of tiny particles which are known as atoms. An atom consists of three things. First, the nucleus, which is in center of an atom, and electrons, which are negatively charged particles which revolve around nucleus. Nucleus consists of two things: protons, which are positively charged, and neutrons, which have no charges. So uh, when we talk about metals, metals are also substances, so they are also made up of atoms. So metals usually have extra electrons, which are also known as free electrons. That means that means the nucleus of a atom of a metal is not able to hold into certain electrons or keep a certain amount of electrons attached to it. So those electrons which are not properly bounded by or held together by nucleus are free electrons, and these free electrons move freely around inside the metal. Like this is electron and this is another electron. One electron goes to this atom and the other electron at the same time comes in the previous atoms. This movement of electrons is random in a metals. Usually metals have free electrons. So you also have heard about that metals are good conductors of electricity. What does that means? That it means that if I take a metal rod, I connect it with wire and I pass electricity through the wire, and I'm touching a end of that metal with my bare hands, I'll get electrocuted. Why? Because the substance which allows electricity to pass through it is a conductor. So metal is allowing electricity to pass through it, so electricity is reaching me. That's why metal is called a conductor. So what is electricity? Electricity is nothing but just these flow of electrons in a particular direction. We just talk about how electrons move randomly in a metal or a conductor. But if we give those electrons a particular direction, that random movement converts into electricity. So electricity is nothing but movement of electron from one point to another point. Now, how do we move electron from point A to point B? So to do that, we use cells or batteries. Think of batteries like water pump. For example, let's take an example of water tank. For example, that you have a certain amount of water here, and you want to transfer it to and you want to transfer the water to this position. So what you will do, you will turn on the water pump, which is our battery in this case. Water pump will push the water in a certain direction. So water pump will push the water in a certain direction and change its position. So when we turn on the water pump, the water flows from here to here. It's the same case with electricity. Uh, what water is our electric water is electrons, and the water pump that we talked about is a battery. So battery is nothing but it pushes electrons or helps electrons to move from one position to another position. We say that it helps electron to move from I can't remember the term properly. Sorry, I don't get the term properly. I'm trying to remember the term, but I'm not able to remember it. Let's forget that term. So, you have your electrons and you have battery. Battery will push these electrons and make them travel in a certain way. So, when electrons move, we have studied that electricity is just movement of electrons. So when electrons move, electricity is produced.